Right, guys. Am I audible to all of you? Is the voice is loud and clear? Can we start the session? Sociology 2025 will be discussing the questions, answers, not answers completely. We'll discuss which one to select and how you're going to proceed with and what are the areas they focused. But is there anything strange in this paper? Is there anything that you don't know? Is there anything that is not there in your notes? Everything is completed in the class, everything is there in the notes, and it's a straightforward, direct paper. Normally, even the options you select, right? So, first 1 and 5 is compulsory, and then the three that you need to select, even within that also some twist will be there. You may be knowing two, one you may not be knowing. So but this year there is nothing like that. In fact, all the questions you already know. It's just a matter of selecting the best one, right? So let me go through the paper. What I'll show you first is how I'm going to pick the questions that I'm going to answer in this, and then we will discuss each and every questions, not completely, but I'll tell you the way you need to proceed with, or what is actually the demand of the question, because we have already done with this. The content is there with you, right? And the answer writing is also going on, so we will anyway cover there, or we have already covered, so that's not a big deal. So let's see how we are going to pick the questions. Okay, so what is more important is selection of questions. In fact, all these are known to you. So first 1 and 5, I don't want to look at it in the beginning. It's compulsory, so I have to answer all. Only thing is that, do I know this? Common sense related question. It's very simple, right? And then the sociology and history question, again, pretty simple. Variable, very simple, right? Reference group theory in the digital world, very simple. Social stratification theory, is it gender blind? Simple question. So first 5, you're not going to face any problem. In the fifth also, you will be facing another 5 questions. So we have to go with that. And then the matter is, of selecting 3 questions and 2 from each section, 1 minimum from each section, right? So which one you'll be selecting? If you look at this question, 20 marker related to positivism, critically analyze the major arguments against it. So I can talk about positivism, I can talk about its arguments, I can critically analyze that, I can bring in non-positivism, I can talk about phenomenology, I can talk about economic methodology. So this is going to be content rich. This is a beautiful question which I can go with, right? We have already fixed these kinds of question. If you get, you'll definitely go for it. And then the next one is again beauty, historical materialism, Marx, and relevance of Marx. Will definitely go for it. The first 220 markers are strong areas, so you don't even want to just see this keyword reliability related. So I'm going to bank on this, right? So this one anyway will be something which I'm going to answer. Compat, capability deprivation approach. Yeah, we discussed this already in there in our material. Pressure group, threat to necessary general ones, right? And hypothesis. So I'm not going to get into this. I don't have much thinkers or anything, though we have discussed there are many things in general it will go, so I don't want to get into this, right? So ignore it. This question I'm going to ignore it. And then the next one, if you see trends of marriage in Indian context, how are these are different from traditional practices? We have so much of content. This is perfectly fine for me. The next one is related to thinkers, right? Similarities and Moscow, Michels and Pareto. So this is again related to thinkers. I can go for it. These two are strong, so I can go for it. And then sociological significance of informal sectors. All the 3 are very simple. So I'm, the first one, this one I'm definitely in. Now I need to select minimum 1 from 2 sections. So this one I definitely selected. Now, if I get 2 good questions from the other section, I'll go for that. If not, if I get 1 good from that and 1 average, then I'll go for this one. Okay, this is also perfectly fine for me. Marriage one, and then Moscow. Here I have 3 thinkers to write. Beautiful one. And then this one is easy. So I'm just holding it for as of now. If I get 2 better questions in the other side, I ignore this. If I get 1 question only there, then I'll go with this. Cool. Now this is compulsory one. So in what way scope of sociology is unique? Easy one. And then structural functional perspective, easy one. And then formal workspace are free from easy one. And then worst hand, objectivity, subjectivity, subjective neutrality, all these, right? Value neutrality, sorry. And then education, social change, all the 5 are very easy. There is no question which is not known to you. In fact, all the questions that they have asked, it's there in the material, it's discussed in the class. Let's look at the other ones. What is science? Do you think the methods used in natural science can be applied in sociology? Give reasons for your answer. Just like we discuss positivism, non-positivism, science also we give so much of emphasis, so much of content is there. The elements of science and arguments in favor, arguments not in favor, the methods, initial sociologist, later sociologist, very clear one. So this is something which I'm very strong in. And then this one is related to gender-based domestic division of labor. I have so much of good content in this also. From paper two also I can add. And then social movement significance. So this one is also a very good one. Okay, so this one is also a good one. It's this one and the previous one. These are almost equal. I mean, almost equal, standing over there. I hope you got the point why I have completely ignored this one. There is no need, right? This I'm comfortable. So this one I have three thinkers here, and this is kind of marriage related question. Similarly, here I have similar to marriage related, I have this one. Similar to thinker related, I have science based question, and then this is social movements in digital era. We can write. Next one, context of social research, and then discuss different forms of sampling. I have so much of content because the question is about sampling and their relative advantages, disadvantages. There is no doubt about the content. I can fill with the content in the three papers, whatever is available. Okay, next is one. Okay, now here, Marx, Weber, Durkheim, how they differ in their understanding on religion. Beautiful question. I'm going to jump onto this because I can talk about Marx' concept of religion, Weber, right? And then Protestant ethic and spirit of capitalism, Durkheim, theory of religion, and then I can make a comparison between Marx and Weber. I can talk about, Protestant ethic, spirit of capitalism. I can bring in comparative analysis. I can bring in ideal types, so much of content, right? So I'll definitely go for this because sampling, I have so much of content. I have Marx, Weber, Durkheim. I'm very strong in this. I'm going to go with this. And relationship between science and religion in modern society, very good. Now, so this one is definitely taken, right? Do I need to even read about this one? What is sustainable development? General one, ignored. Civil society or ignored. Not going to read the third one anyway. This one I'm not even going to read. So I'm fixed this one. I'm okay with this one. 100% okay. I'm 100% okay with this one. Now the question is, do I need to go for this or do I need to go for this? So this question and the marriage based is almost similar. Uh, the content is different, but almost similar. But there I have three thinkers. Now, some of you might be very strong in this area, social movements and digital era. So much of relevant content can be added, and then gender based. Here you can market women. That is there, and then you can add from paper two also. And then this area, since we start preparation with this, this I think you are going to be more strong. So I'll go with this. In my case, some of you might be going with this, but which one we are definitely avoiding? I don't want to go with this. So this, the moment I see, it is not because I don't know. I know I have the content pressure, everything. This is there in the know. Its hypothesis is very simple. Pressure group, again, very simple, right? Capability deprivation approach in social capital deprivation is very simple. So there in the notes, but I don't want to go with it, right? Similarly, I don't want to even read this one once I see the other questions. Now it's just a matter of selecting this or the other one. So I've gone with this one. Now, some of you might be going with this one. Fair enough. So we are done with the selection of questions. Any doubt in this? Now we need to start writing answers. So we have 13 10 markers and 6 20 markers. So guys, in my opinion, start writing faster. The 10 markers, 13 markers you'll complete. You take, out of 180 minutes, 100 minutes, even if you take 13 questions, you complete because 10 markers are going to fetch you good mark. It is very easy to score 7 mark in 10 mark. And, it's very difficult to score 14 mark in questions of 20 mark. So, but two 10 marks is equal to 120 mark, right? So two 10 mark question you scoring 7 is equal to 14 mark, which is very difficult to get in 20 marks. So attempt the 13 10 markers and try to get minimum, minimum 6 to 7. So if you get that 7 mark, that's 91. And rest of the 6 questions, even if you get anything above 10, right? 10 to 14 is a very good range. Even if you get 10, which is 60, which is 151. If you get above that, on an average 12, if you get, that is going to be 72, which will take you to 163 level in paper one. That's crazy mark. Cool. So this is how you'll be proceeding with. I hope you understood how I've selected those questions. Now I'll answer this. I'll discuss the demand also, but I am not going to take this. This is how. This is very important in selecting question, and this decision has to be taken in the first 3 minutes. Go through the questions and take this decision. I'm going to skip this. I'm going to skip this for sure. Now this one I'm going to attempt for sure. This one I'm going to attempt for sure. I hope you got the reasons. Here I have marks, thinker is there, and positivism, so much of content is there. This one. So I'm definitely in. Here, I have enough content. I have thinker also, but I'll be feeling more comfortable with this one. Because here I have something related to women, the topic which I like the most. And then social movements in digital era. So I can add more content, the social media influencers, so much I can add here. The current relevance is there. And then science. Very good theory. Here it's very simple, sampling. Fine. So I hope you got my point. Now let's understand one by one. So let's start with the first question. Now, guys, these are classic questions, right? So common sense and sociology. So straightforward, like a difference between commonsensical knowledge, scientific knowledge. You'll talk about what is common sense. You'll talk about what is sociology, what are the similarities, what are the differences. And, you will contrast with the sociologic systemic theory driven knowledge. And you can connect with the value addition point, which I've given beyond the common points like Burgess, like debunking and seeing the general in particular. All those we can mention. Then sociology versus history, classic, old favorite. They want focus on methodology, objectivity, causality versus generalization, synchronic versus diachronic. You can add Collingwood's idea of reenactment versus Durkheim's social facts. So there is no problem in content here, right? That's also done. And then variables in social research. I don't think that I need to discuss that here. So you talk about independent, dependent, intervening, control, right? Proper definition is required with examples. That's the one thing that you need to. Merton, this is relevant one. Merton's reference group theory be relevant in understanding identity making in digital world. They used to ask this question in 2014-15. I think they asked about fashion. Explain relevance of fashion using this theory. So in the same way, so this always have the relevance, right? So very contemporary. So you'll connect with Instagram influencers, the YouTube communities, online, peer comparison, and you can show the relevance of classic theory in modern digital society. Then gender blind stratification. So what is the expectation here? Davis and Moore theory, if you see, the one of the most important criticism is ignoring the gender. So you will be adding the feminist perspective, Sylvia Walby, Anne Oakley, and very relevant even to paper 2, paper 1 linkage also, right? So very easy one. So all the 5 questions are strong. So I'm expecting once you have done with this part, you'll be getting that confidence. And guys, how many of you have given this year mains and attending the session? Just after the mains attending the session? Cool. Okay. So yeah, I know you might not be that confident and that's why you're attending to continue. But still, see guys, to others, I'm telling you, there are some who have cleared prelims without much preparation. So they have just given the mains, but at the same time, they have done with a lot of efforts, which whatever is possible during the limited time for them. But still, some of them are, preparing. Now only they got the motivation once they cleared the prelims and they're preparing for next year. So see their dedication. They're just done with the mains and attending the session today, right? Okay. So here, these are very simple, but you need clarity and application, right? It's very simple. Won't even say moderate. Fine. Now positivism. So you talk about what is positivism, the classic methodology. You'll have to talk about Comte. You'll talk about Durkheim, and you will talk about the shift, right? The criticisms, Weber, right? The positivism, the objective study of objective reality. Then comes Weber. That's the objective study of subjective reality. So there is a change, and then subjective study of subjective reality, that's the pure non-positivist like phenomenologist and ethnomethodologist. So Weber is considered to have bridged the gap between the two. So what is excluded in positivism, talk about that. what is, excluded in non-positivism, talk about that, and how Weber bridges the gap between the two, talk about that, right? So it's going to be a very easy one, very good one, very scoring one also. So what examiner is expecting is a balanced critical tone. You can't say non-positivism is superior. You can't say positivism is superior, right? So Weber, you stand with Weber in this because Weber is balanced. He want to study objectively, but at the same time, he's studying a subjective reality. Sociology is dealing with human beings. Human beings have consciousness and emotions. So, but still you need to conduct objective study. The meanings attached by the actor you need to study. So what the examiner expecting here is a balanced critical tone, not just a rejection of positivism. Okay. So there are elements of positivism which are important, like objective understanding, cause and effect, very important. Then Marx theory of historical materialism, very easy one. Define that: economic infrastructure, superstructure, class struggle, class in itself, class for itself, dialectics, all these you discuss. Relevance in this global capitalism, gig economy, digital labor, inequality in India, discuss so much in our thinkers class. I've spent a lot of time. I think maximum time that we spent was like with Marx. So easy to score if you connect also with the non-Marxist perspective towards the end. Cool. So now the next one, reliability, right? Easy one. So you need to define what is reliability, what is validity, reliable but not valid, valid but not reliable, the replicability, the consistency, and mention the reliability test in surveys, interviews, like that. So if you now want to go with this one, I can discuss what the demand of the examiner, but I'm not going to answer this one if during the exam, right? So here, you talk about Amartya Sen versus Bourdieu or Putnam. We discussed that already. And you can compare individual compatibility approach with the community or social network deprivation. We discussed already with enough examples. I've shared the material from which the question is asked immediately after they examine the group. So again, you can apply that in the Indian poverty context as well. Next one. See, compared to the previous question, you see, you have the content, but you may go slightly more general. But here, you don't have any scope to write anything from your side. You are not going anything in general. So that's the beauty of this one. This is going to be scoring. Here, this can go slightly general. From your side also, you may add. Now, coming to pressure group, you will be using pluralist versus Marxist views, like, for example, farmers protest, RTI campaigns, etc. Simple one. But anyway, I don't think that any of my students will choose this question. The way we taught, the way we, train them, I don't think that any one of them will select this one. If they selected, then I don't, I don't want even them to come in front of me. Cool. Okay. So what is hypothesis? Very simple one. You go with a clear definition, role in, guiding the research, and then you will also discuss a criticism, like not always possible in qualitative research, and sociology, and mostly we'll be going with a qualitative approach as well. Now, coming to marriage trends in India, guys, these are things which you already know. So, talk about trends: intercaste marriage, interreligious marriage, live-in scenarios, same-sex marriage, love marriages, different multiple examples I've given, and contrast with arranged marriage, caste endogamy, clan exogamy, dowry, all these things you discuss. You can use the data, facts from NSSO, PW, NFHS, and all NFHS 5, all these data you can use. Cool. Now, the next is this theory, direct, straightforward. So, Mosca, political class, Michel's iron law of oligarchy, Pareto, circulation of elites, that itself will fill your answer. But we have not gone with this. We have selected science related question. But still, this, see, we are having confusion with respect to this and that. And I have selected that other one because I have some contemporary things to write over there. Okay. Some of you might be going with this. Absolutely, I'm okay with it, but not with this one, nor with the last one. That if you have taken, then I'm not with you. This one or the other one, if you get stuck, and even if you go with this one, I'm perfectly fine. Cool. So you can show the similarities, like concentration of power. Also, you can talk about the differences in terms of mechanisms and the relevance, the Indian bureaucracy, the corporates, the politics. Everywhere you can show the relevance. And then comes to the formal sector, right? So very relevant for India. You can mention ILO definitions, street vendors, gig economy, and sociological lens. If you see, add this inequality, area, lack of protection, all those, precarity. Next one, anyway, compulsory. All these are known to you. Scope of sociology is unique, right? You define what is scope of sociology and how scope of sociology is evolved. Phase one during Comte, Spencer time, and then phase two, Durkheim, Weber, right? Micro, then initially macro, then micros coming, then combination, Parson, Merton, C. Wright Mills, Karl Popper, their combination, micro, macro integration, inductive, deductive integration, scientific humanist, the way the scope is broadened and permeating through each and every other areas also, like sociology of health, clinical sociology, criminal sociology. So cool. That's again very easy. Interdisciplinary, both micro, macro, empirical plus theoretical, all these you need to mention. Second one, structural functionalism, stratification, use Davis and Moore theory, that approach is basically promoting status quo, ignoring conflict. You can talk about Durkheim also. If you want, you can bring in M.N. Srinivas if required, but otherwise not necessary. Otherwise also you have enough content. And then we have gender bias in formal workspace, right? So you can discuss a classical examples like the wage gap, unpaid, care burden, glass ceiling effect. You can use examples from IT sector, parliament, judiciary, all these you can use. Worst hand, all of you, I don't think you'll face any problem here, right? So how you ensure objectivity, what are that steps in ensuring objectivity, how you go with this method, how it balances objectivity with empathetic understanding. You can connect it with interpretive tradition also. So that's again good one. And coming to education and skill development, be an agent of social change from the last chapter. So connected with mobility, NEP 2020, but also, you can criticize using Marxian perspective that inequalities in access to education and all those. Fine. Then this is the one which we are going to approach, right? Science, talk about what is science, what are the elements of science, what is the initial understanding of science, what is the later understanding of science, how sociology qualified to be science, what are the limitations of sociology being science, what do you mean by natural science, and what is social science, how it is differentiated, the different methods, interpretive approach, reflexive sociology, and finally balanced answer. Sociology is studying human beings, natural studies studying the matter. So when you study human being, absolute objectivity is neither possible nor desirable in sociology. That way you will conclude, because when you heat matter, you can predict the behavior in terms of exact cause and effect, right? But that's not possible. You cannot 100% predict the behavior. So it's a social science. That's the conclusion that we had. And then this one, we decided that we will be going with this question mainly because of these two, right? We have contemporary relevance. So you can discuss Sylvia Valby here, you can discuss Anne Oakley, domestic labor theories, and then change due to women in workforce, sorry, dual burden, but not elimination, right? And then various data you can use, contemporary examples you can use. Then this one, social movements in the digital era. So like Me Too campaigns, various farmers protest, Arab Spring, right? So what is the importance? What is the significance? The speed, the reach, the global solidarity, right? All these you need to mention. Then the next one, we already decided that we'll be going with this. I don't think that you guys will be facing any problem when you are writing this question. Sampling, types of sampling, advantages, disadvantages. So you have to use examples in each of these explanation, probability sampling, non-probability sampling, write down everything under that, right? And then comes Marx, Weber, and Durkheim in terms of religion. So Marx is talking about religion as a heart of heartless world, soul of soulless condition, and it's opium of masses. That's his ideology. Discuss that. And then Durkheim, that sacred profane concept you explain, and social solidarity, right? So it's not that you're worshipping the God, you're actually worshipping the solidarity or the togetherness, the totem that you have created. And that you are worshipping the totem means you are worshipping that collective effervescence or the state of exaltation or that togetherness or that happiness. Ultimately, you're worshipping the society. Cool. Then Weber, Protestant ethic and spirit of capitalism, talk about rationalization, ideal types, comparative analysis, and all. So you show the differences very clearly in terms of perspective, in terms of approaches as well. Cool. So then next one, science and religion in modern society. So you talk about conflict, you talk about coexistence, you talk about secularization debates, Indian examples like ISRO scientist also visiting the temples, right? And then vaccine hesitancy, right? And then this modern medicine, all these. Next one, I'm not even looking into because we rejected that even without reading it completely, right? By looking at the first 220 markers, it's not that we don't know. It's going to be slightly, general. I don't want to contribute too much from my side. That's why, because if I start writing from my side, I get exposed. If I only talk about thinkers and then fill my answers with them, their perspective, I'm well good with that. So environment related, the first one, sustainable development, right? So environmental, social, economic pillars, and then India's performance like Niti Aayog, Sustainable Development Index, and all those. Civil society organizations, NGO, SSGs, microfinance, Kudumbashree, Seva, role in decentralization, empowerment. Cool. So guys, now look at these questions. Do you find anything which you don't know? Only issue is selection has to be perfect, and I have told you already how you're going to select it. There was some confusion between two questions. There was no confusion in ignoring the two questions. There was no confusion in selecting the core easy question also. There came confusion. We decided one in that. Whatever you decide, it will be okay. That depends on you. But the two questions that I have selected must be the ones you also selected. And the two questions which I left, that should be the ones which you also should be left. That should not be attempted. Cool. Don't think that you will become, brilliant and you will stand out. Your answers will stand out. So I'll go with it. That's foolishness. Super foolishness. So see, if you see there is a balance in the paper, equal weightage to paper one, theory, methodology, right? So new age additions was there, like that question one, the digital world identity, formal sector relevance, like that. Straightforward concepts also like variables, hypothesis, sampling. These are classic, straightforward questions. Yeah, several questions that require some application in the contemporary context, like this digital, gender, informal sector, NGOs, queer kinship, that area. But scoring, like whatever questions we selected, if you have selected the same, that is going to be scoring, because thinkers, contemporary examples is what we have selected. Cool. So that's about what I wanted to discuss about this. Any questions now from your side? I'll open to you. We can discuss. Cool, guys. So what I'll do is, let me stop recording so that we can have the discussion, right? Just give me a moment.